recording?
I think we got a couple of people coming.
Okay. Whatever. I can always edit it. So.
Yeah. Edit and post.
I'll just upload the whole thing.
While we're talking food.
Single sword starting now! Single sword!
Okay, first off, I'm Kvel. I'm with the Sons of Terra. Been fighting for about 17 years now. Here we're going to learn the basics of single sword. The best part about the most important part of single sword is being able to block a shot. You can't block a shot, you can't really return a shot. So it's what we're going to be mostly covering. Throwing a shot's not hard, and most of it's going to be based on how you like to throw shots, and teaching shots not really needed right now. Step one, we're going to learn just how to get into your basic stance. I'm sure everybody has an idea of where their basic stance is. This is for people who maybe they haven't figured it out yet. So I like to start with my feet together like this, and then you turn your off foot out, pivot, and then do it one more time. And then if you jump up, you should rest into like a natural position. Make sure your foot's going back each time you do it. And then a jump. So you're kind of at this diagonal footwork position, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is holding your sword. You can hold your sword in whatever grip you want. It's really whatever feels comfortable to you. So there's like hammer fist, saber where your fingers on the back end, and then modified saber works better with oblong handles, but it's on like the side of it. Okay. So hammer, saber, and then modified on the side of it. Each one has their own preference. There's no like correct way to hold your sword. It's just however you want to do it. Obviously, different shots gain benefit from holding it a different way. Next, we're going to move into guards. So the premise is a denial guard. So we have inside denial, which is you hold your bat in front of you or your weapon in front of you, then the tip of your sword goes in. Because if I'm fighting here, I'm more incentivized to throw outside, right? So these, your typical is to deny an angle so you know where your opponent's going to throw. If I go, like, if he goes over, goes across, right? It's all about like guiding your opponent to where you want him. So we have the inside denial, the outside denial. So imagine all you're doing really is splitting halves. And then on top of that, we have, like if you're fighting a tall opponent, doing this denies the upper angles. And if you're fighting somebody who likes to fight low, you hold your hand a little lower. These are all just about denying guards, okay? So like I said, the point of this is like, set yourself up for success, essentially what we're doing. So, the inside denial, and like, you'll develop your shots from wherever you like to hold it. Or you develop it based on your opponents. Like, if I'm fighting Bran, and Bran just like clobbering me out here, right? Like, I got nothing. I'm probably going to be, next time I fight him, I'm probably going to hold my bat like this. Right? Denials. Like I said, it also leads into shots. So I'd like everybody just to pair up and try to pair up with somebody. We have two left-handed people. We have four? Perfect. Just pair up with somebody who has the same like hand as you. And let's just work on the denial guards right now. Okay, just the inside and outside denial. Okay.
Having of swords.
No. You can know the person. I just need you to have mirrored hands.
You're right-handed. You two already know what you're doing. How about if you pair something
But if you're fit,
We're both new. I see you too.
like any kind of sport, any kind of goalie, they come out the
I've learned from Wham before. He's a really
So if
good
you keep
teacher.
your hand bent into this, it's way easier. But if you
I'm sorry, I disappoint you, master.
it's easier for you to pivot smaller degrees and block more. Whereas if you're tucked in, you're kind of like behind the curve, if that makes sense, right? So you don't have to be locked. You don't have to be like necessarily locked out. It's somewhere where you can generate a shot, but still block away.
I wouldn't do the whole that. All you're doing is that. The small motions make a huge difference. Yeah, Diagonal, those are because that's very good.
Okay.
I want to know. That's that guard.
Okay.
The alternative guard, if I'm hitting that, now that one. Now, I can't. You're never going to do that. So, if you see me like, you see, I like doing that.
Yeah.
So I do this.
Fake
There.
out. Fake out.
Yeah. And from there, like when I'm here, now this is your wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So it's a block and then swing.
Yeah. We're going blocks, right? I don't think that's exactly what
You don't want
That's the thing. If I know that you're going to overreact.
Nice.
I drove my guard over.
So that's like this. So I should be leaning the top towards the side of the block.
Yeah, well, so if you're not going to block here, I can go around.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
I really want to hit that thing.
So it's adding coverage to extend it in the same.
Now, obviously, you're doing that at the expense of the
So
But the idea is that, like, this is your guard.
and when I come in to strike,
But you're passing
but I'm gauging my distance with the tip, and the perfect shot is when I'm just inside of the right? And that's like that's what I want. When I'm playing single blue, this is my
I'm not complaining.
but if your arms have been typically anytime you play, they go out, right? Because soccer always go out when you're gonna block. As soon as you get in,
Instead of being up here,
so you have no way to block difference. If I'm here, just a tiny little. Where if I was here,
so what is there? Is it
so just practice, like you don't want to be locked out because you have to generate power.
I have the first shot?
Like 15.
Just left-handed.
Enough that it's
Left-handed. I go to see you only know that they're wrapped.
you don't want to be like
Because if I move my hand,
I know. And yeah, just like space matters. Because you don't have a shield to block.
your hand does not deny the
Yeah, I just saw y'all arms like this, so kind of
when I do it, my hand
and
doesn't.
then work on targeting, so like my normal, like my bread and butter.
What up?
Yeah.
Go good?
Okay. Is everybody good? So we got no practicing with that one? Okay, one thing I noticed when walking around, told me I should have covered it.
Getting a little
Is
bit
when you're
good.
doing these,
I'm getting to the point where I notice I can
you're throwing your
actually pass
guard,
back and forth a few blows, and it's really exciting.
keep it kind of in the, your hand stays in the center line of your body. Because if my hand's out here, right, if I'm fighting Bran, and my hand's out here, I can't, like for me to guard this, I have to move all the way over here. Essentially, I'm taking, instead of using a free action of where my hand is to naturally block, I'm using action to block him, which means I can't really counter strike. So we want to keep our hands in the center of our bodies to block like naturally. Right? It takes no movement to actually get these blocks because my hand is just naturally there. Even if I went for like a deep one, like then he gets to move, right? But because my hand's already in the center, I have the same amount of movement to both sides of my body as if then if I was holding my guard a little out to the right, out to my sword side, because I'm afraid of getting crossed, right? If they step in and they just throw a straight chop to my chest, for me to guard that, I have to go all the way over across my body to block. Okay?
One thing I saw a lot of groups doing is it feels natural and comfy to be like this, But the problem is if you're tucked in, like if Kvel's tucked in like this, I have everything. Like he almost can't block anything.
Yeah.
You need to go out towards your opponent. And I'm sure Kvel, I won't go into this too much because I want to steal Kvel's thunder. But you're also creating the space you want in between you and your opponent. If I'm like this, he has anything he wants, right? Think of any, I said this to a few groups, but think of any goalie in any game. They go out like hockey goalie goes on the edge of their crease, right? Once they get tucked in into their net, think of it like that, you're probably already fucked. Or you're probably already screwed, whatever. You need to be out towards your opponent, right? And you don't want to be locked out because it's really hard to generate a shot from a locked out position. You want to be kind of in like this kind of range, but just don't be like this because then you're giving your opponent anything they want.
Yeah. That was another thing is, yeah. So, again, we're not going to have our arm fully extended because if my arm's fully extended, my only shots are like this, right? Like I can't, compared to if it's cocked a little bit. Again, I'm not like resting here. I'm here. That way if I need to retreat my arm, I can. So let's say you're backing up and the person takes a really big step you weren't expecting for, I still have this room to retreat. I mean that's fairly it. Do you know of anything else for like basic, like defense and stuff? We can move on to some shots if people want to learn some shots.
Let's talk about feet first. So,
All right, moving.
just like general footwork, right? And this is huge on single blue. Anything where you don't have a blocking mechanism, a shield, buckler, whatever, footwork is like the most important, right? So when we're talking about don't have your arm bent, whatever, just as important, and this is what I told a few groups, is I'm using the edge of my sword, and this works for single blue or anything, to gauge how am I to Kyle. So like every shot you throw doesn't have to be a killing shot. You kind of want to warm up your opponent to what you want. So if I'm not positive where I'm at against Kvel, then I'm like, all right, let me just throw here. All right, I cannot hit him right now, right? I know there's nothing I can get right now. So I have to take at least like an 8 or 12 inch step to get to hit him. But your goal, especially when you're fighting single blue, is to get just close enough to your opponent to get the shot you want, but not overcommit, right? Half the time when I die in single blue, it's because I overcommit. Like if I do a big lunge and I come here and Kyle blocked it, you know what I mean? So really your goal, like single blue at the highest level is wrist tag, like arm tag. Because the thing is, if I can hit Kyle in his arm, right? And especially like if we're really fighting, your goal is if you land, you want to get to your second shot before he can change and hit, right? In the perfect world. That takes a lot of time and pace. But the whole point of that is distancing and footwork, right? That's like to any fighting, any type of fighting in the world, but including sword fighting, your footwork is everything. It's your foundation. You can sit here and do this all day, but your feet are standing still, you're probably going to get run over. Like, so, not to take too much of your thunder, but generating into shots, like you need to worry about footwork because your feet set you up to throw the shot that you want to throw. Go ahead, Kyle, sorry.
I would argue if you're working on footwork, the best thing to do is when your opponent takes a step, you take a step. So like if I'm fighting Bran and he steps at me, I'm gonna step back, right? Even if I'm confident I'm going to block it and kill him, right? Just taking like even a half step back. It's how you're gonna work on footwork. I promise you. And it's the safest thing to do. Unless you're like, I'm just gonna murder chop you right now. We're simuling this.
Yeah, reset's a real thing.
About that step,
Yeah.
do you take a step forward when he chops or a step back when he chops?
Depends.
For your, okay. So
Well,
when
depending on
you
what lane
block-
your opponent's throwing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So like, if I'm confident he's going deep, I'm stepping back,
Okay.
right? Because if I go forwards, I'm giving myself up in depth,
Okay.
right? But if he's going shallow, maybe I want to cut him off before he gets there. So I step forwards and throw the block out preemptively. That's a little more advanced stuff.
Okay.
But the best way to work on footwork is when your opponent steps, you step. Right? It just gets you into that mindset of constantly moving. Off hands. You can use them to hand block. The best thing to do when you're new, just hold it here. Hold it right here. Right? Because if I go in to hit you, right? Right? And I go across, hand, right? It's better than it just like floating out there like this and getting hit, or like sitting by the side and then you get hit in the chest and die. Right? While you're working on it, just hold your shoulder. You don't have to hold it tight, just rest it there. You can rest it off a little bit if you want. just start engaging the hand. It's going to give you a free block every now and then, compared to doing nothing besides being there when you get armed and now you have to fight with a hand you never fight with, right? You might as well use it to absorb a shot.
Yeah, I like to keep mine, like, this will get you training in the right way. Like, normally when I'm fighting single blue, my arm's kind of like here. I almost like have it like if I was holding a strap shield. And there's two, I don't want to get into too advanced stuff too, but if I'm over here, my arm's here, I'm also thinking to keep this hand close to here, right? Because Belegarth allows magic switch, right? So how Kyle's saying here, Kvel's saying here, if I have my hand here, Kyle throws across, right? And then I'm just gonna, but if you're in that area, if you think your two hands are kind of close to each other, it allows for that quick switch. And that's a learned and a practice thing too. But just having it here, the worst thing you can do, honestly, is just don't do anything with it, because it's a free one. Well, you either want it for the switch or you want it for a block, right? But it's an action, right? It's an action. And if it's here, if it's wherever, this is the worst place it could be, if it's not already taken, you know, so. And the other thing that people do is if this arm gets hit already, then it's opposite. The worst place it could be is up here, because if they hit it again, you're dead by our rules, right? So you got to think, like, if it's alive, keep it here. If it's dead, keep it away.
No, that's really it for the basics and getting started in single. Did anybody have like a question on like what to do in certain situations?
Well, real quick too, because you were talking about taking steps. I think new fighters get so locked in, like if you and I are fighting, I think we get so locked in on this, and I call it like fighting in the eye, right? I've taught this in other classes. It's one thing to step at your opponent like this, right? Like right at him. But you're not really you're creating depth, but you're not creating new angles, right? So if you have your arm out like I was telling you here, right? I know that their block here is their strongest like thing right now, but down here is mostly open. So if I, like I was saying before, my opener is this, right? But even if I don't get that, instead of stepping in the Y, like when Kyle's talking about taking steps, think about stepping in the I. I call it stepping in the Y. Just a slight side step and what angles you create with that, right? So when your opponents, a lot of times when you watch like high level fighters fight, it looks like they're just circling each other. Because what we're really doing is you're looking for that 1 inch that like, okay, they're blocking this really good. All right, let me step here and see what they do. Okay, they're blocking that. Okay, what if I step this way, right? So it's a constant, it's going around your opponent. You can do this, and this is great to practice like that. But just think about, like, it's a circle, right? Think about that instead of just like, oh, let's do this way, let's do that way. Just think about, and that's all fighting, that's not just single, but, you know, side to side too, not just lateral movement as far and. So this is supposed to be a basic class, so I don't get too crazy with it.
Yeah, and like on that note, like with this, when I say step, when he steps, like if you're doing lateral steps, if your opponent steps to the right, you don't feel safe, you step to the left.
Back
Or you
left.
step to your right.
You do you go the opposite direction that your opponent's going.
Yeah.
Like if you're on defense and you're just trying not to get hit, you create space.
You're right.
If you're on the attack, and you're in like, you know, attack mode, then you're trying to close the space just enough to get into your like deadly range without like putting yourself at risk. Yeah.
Good. Did anyone have anything they wanted to cover that maybe they experienced with fighting?
I'm just curious if you want to cover.
So, the doors?
It's a way more advanced technique. I mean, we could talk about it.
I do not like hand matching because for me to want to hand match you, my left hand has to be, like, let's say we're fighting, my left hand has to be significantly better than your right hand to make it worth it for me not to want to use my main hand.
I'm more curious about like fighting a lefty than like the actual hand matching.
Okay, how to fight, okay. So in those situations, it's a little different because when we fight, like if we're fighting somebody with the same hand, right, so if Bron's fighting right-handed, right, we're actually the furthest away we could possibly be from killing each other in this situation. Compared to fighting here, we are now the closest we can possibly be to killing each other. So you'll see like the stance is changing maybe just slightly. Like maybe I'm a little more narrow in my stance, right? Because I'm trying to force him to only throw on my right side. Like it's very similar. It's just maybe instead of your hand in the center of your body, you turn a little bit. It's still technically in the center of my body. I just move what part of my body is exposed. One technique you can do is people love when they're hand matching me or fighting like lefty versus righty, they love to throw hip wraps. You just just pummel your thigh. Right?
That's like after I've already stepped in. Like this is when you're outranged and you're gauging, right?
Yeah.
But there are situations like if like Kvel was saying, he comes in at me. There are a lot of times where I'll absorb just so that I can throw. But the thing that I see a lot of new fighters do is you get stuck. So like a lot of new fighters, I think one of the most important things about all fighting is getting back into your like reset home stance. So don't lag out, right? Don't freeze. So like if Kvel comes in and he does that and I get stuck here, the worst thing I can do is just stay here, right? So if I don't immediately throw back at him, then I just get out. If I don't feel comfortable, I just get out of there. And going back to her question about hand matching, it's a simplified fight, right? You're narrowing the lanes because you're out here. Almost anything's open here. It's much riskier or whatever. But when we come here, you have like 3-4 lanes that you can throw really. And people like it, like, so hand matching is really used for a like modality called block strike. So, and the whole idea of that is if I throw, keep block strike, you know, so you can practice like doing block strike, and you can practice like that, but that's a much more advanced technique. It's a much more advanced technique, and I would yes, if you get into an opposite opponent, what I would argue, the safest way to fight that, if like you're a righty and you're fighting, so if I'm a righty and Kvel's pretending he's a lefty, what I actually am going to do here 9 times out of 10 is I'm going to try to like get him into here, and then once I think I have that, I'm going to come outside. I'm just going to, when I'm fighting a lefty, a natural lefty, I'm going to roll this way, like I was talking about moving in the Y. Camera's over here. I'm going to roll this way, so I'm going to kind of whatever, try to get him, and then I'm going to roll this way, right? And because I know if I can get that left arm, right, the fight's over. Really. I'm just going to, if you're fighting on a high level and you're like tournament fighting. So that's what I do. That's the easiest for a basic class. That's what I'll say is I just target that primary arm by going outside, because even if Kvel returns, if I'm here, usually I'll actually do like an outside denial. Depending on where he throws, I can either go here, I can go here.
Yeah, the same denial guards we're talking about. I would say if you're worried about siloing against somebody who is, like if you're fighting right-handed against left-handed, fight the arm. Don't fight the body. Outside of that, I actually find the fight to be
It's a simpler fight.
It's a similar fight and much more simple, actually, than fighting like righty v righty.
Well, that's why I said simpler. Not similar, simpler. It's a simpler fight. But if you're not used to fighting a lefty, like I'm sure when you first showed up to the game, that first like hard outside wrap lefty that you fought, you're like, what the heck was that? Oh, they're using the other hand. So yeah, it's like when Ramon and I fight, whether it's board, single, whatever, we each throw like 3 different shots, and it's just who gets who first, and that's all footwork. We were talking about before. It's all positioning and footwork. But yeah, there are people that live and die by the hand. Like my knight Peter, that's like his thing because he's mostly a flow fighter, and so even though he's a natural righty, he will always fight you with his left because he wants that simplified fight because he thinks that his simplified fight is better than yours. Like most people, you know. I used to do it more, and then I found that like my arsenal is just way better with my right arm. So now I just fight right arm unless I have to, right? But yeah, there's so much to that. But for the purposes of Kvel's like basic class, like that gets into the water.
Any other questions?
Shots. Anybody like?
Does anybody not really know how to throw shots in single? Or don't feel comfortable throwing shots in single? Okay, just one? Okay, I can work with you separately. That's really it. Nobody has any questions? If anybody wants to come and talk to me about stuff later, you can. Okay?
Sweet. Thank you, guys. How do I...